Well, hello. Well, this video is going to be a different. Well, this is going to be 100% related to my personal opinion about this aircraft carrier rework in World of Warships 2025. To make it simple, I want to personally call it a CV rework-25, because we had one CV rework back in 2018 or 90s. I don't recall, but that was CV rework 19, and now we are in year 25. So personally, I think it's going to be called CV rework 25 according to the year. So what is this CV rework? Well, there is a stupid amount of opinions about how powerful carriers are, not just by spotting, but also they can change the battle's outcome, or they have no effect at all. But mostly, they have the ability to spot enemy ships with planes. And over the years, the past 6-7 years, when was the last time we had a CV rework, that turned from automatic plane attacks to the manual ones. And what I mean by manuals, you personally control aircraft squadrons. If I recall, back in beta era and after beta era, your point of view in a battlefield as a aircraft carrier was from above, like you are watching a minimap. But then you had a squadrons. You pick up the squadron, you then send them, and then you will plan the attack. I was trying to test that, but it was not for me. It was difficult to play. So I decided to stay as a battleship and cruiser player and destroyer, and here we are. But during the years when German got their aircraft carriers, Crash Zeppelin is one of them. I have Crash Zeppelin. And over the years, I gained experience about the aircraft carriers in German side. But when it comes to other factions like Japan and Russia, and then America aircraft carriers, there is huge gap of knowledge from me, because I have no idea how to play with them. Of course, I have played Enterprise, and I am trying to learn how the American aircraft carriers work, but they are beyond my understanding, because I have a lot more experience with the German planes. And first of all, historically, Crash Zeppelin was the only carrier, and rest of the tech line is just fiction. Well, to be fair, Weser was planned to be a reserve carrier or something like that, small carrier, But rest from that, after the loss of Bismarck, they tried to make some plans for the carriers, but they failed. But we are not talking about history, we are now talking about CV rework, and I want to open up a little bit about this. I took this clan test server, what the hell was it? Clan TS, CT, whatever. But there was a new mechanics and new approach how to play the carriers. Okay, this is gonna be a long one because I try to remember each and everything one of them because I have no clips of that. And for the sake of this balance, I'm gonna play Crash Zeppelin, this background video, for the sake of that, because we will get to that. The point of this CV rework is that how much impact aircraft carriers have in current games. And so the World of Warships in EU, in the English side, not the Tesla side, Lesta, excuse me, not Lesta, but the in English side, they have been trying to rework the carriers, and now we have this testing side to test this new mechanics and AA, and then new stuff. And what I have watched and what I have managed to experience myself, one fatal mistake about this testing was only using tier 10 ships. Tier 10 ships only. Like, I'm trying to stay awake because I have been crying stupid amount before I made this video. The World of Warships. But anyway, only focusing on tier 10 ships to test these new mechanics. Personally, I believe that is not great approach. It is a bad approach to test these new mechanics. Why? Because one, tier 10 ships have maximum capabilities compared to the lower tier ones. Two, lower tiers have questionable AA that depends completely on the ship type, nation and design. And three, the carriers have more impact or less impact on lower tiers. And you dare to forget lower tier carriers and focus only 10. That is waste of opportunity to test these new mechanics and effects of AA, because one, lower tiers have questionable AA, and two, aircraft carriers that depends on nation may outperform surprisingly well. Imagine the information we could get from lower tier aircraft carriers compared to the tier 10 carriers and AA. And the way they approached in this issue, we need more testing this is not enough. I don't care how much dollars you waste to make these carriers balanced. I only care, are you competent enough to actually care about carriers spotting with planes mechanic? Because that is the huge issue the player base actually have. Plane spotting. And you went all the way to change AA, flag, gameplay and skills, adding more junk instead of removing single thing, and that is plane capable to spot enemy ships. During my testing, you have these two modes. One is flight, and other is scout. Well, guess what? You don't need scouting. If you want to spot enemy ships, just start attack. That alone makes enemy ships spotted. You don't need to use this stupid mechanic to start scouting. No, you can just basically start diving with attack aircraft or torpedo aircraft, and you can basically spot every ship on the map. That is the issue what the player base actually have. Plane spotting. And they still kept it. What is your major malfunction, Wargaming? I don't care how much money do you have. I only care, do you care? What the player base is trying to tell you. And you only take those things that only matters to you. And that is our begin. Something like listen. But I'm gonna ignore that. The thing is, it was horrible testing. Personally, it was horrible testing. I didn't need to use that new mechanic to spot enemy ships. I just took the torpedo planes or attack planes and just started attacking, and then immediately spotted enemy ships. Yes, I might have lost planes in the attack group, but the rest of the group remained untouched. So I had plenty room, plenty resources to spot enemy ships. I didn't need to use that stupid mechanic scouting thing. It was waste of resources, so to say. And as long as airplanes can spot enemy ships, they can actually either replace destroyers' capabilities to be the eyes of your team, or if you want to keep destroyers usable, remove planes' ability to spot enemy ships, because that's the thing that affects most outcomes. I have plenty experience when the aircraft carrier just starts hunting me and then deleting me. But those are just 1 to 200 games where CV actually starts attacking me only to remove me from the map. but that depends on where I am during the game, while the enemy carrier is doing something else. And the flak. Flak is too punishing to the new system? Are you joking? Flak is the most powerful way to actually destroy enemy planes to make effect on the surface ships. And of course there are those ships that relies on the effectiveness to the flak power. There was this one battleship that had really good flak damage, flak capabilities, but then you are planning to remove the entire concept. And then giving carriers more room to sink the enemy ship, to sink your ship. Is that acceptable? And when was the last time when community was talking about the carriers and where carrier was outperforming? 2018. Crash Zeppelin. According to my personal memories, I heard Crash Zeppelin not just did have fast planes, good secondaries, but also she had a hydro. A hydro on aircraft carrier. Once the community actually pointed out how strong Crash Zeppelin is, the developers balanced Crash Zeppelin. And over the years, Crash Zeppelin got changed 5 times or 6 times more. And here she is. Today. She has 2 attack aircrafts in one flight. Attack run. 2 dive bombers in attack run. 3 torpedo bombers in attack run. Let's compare the other carriers to the tier 8. What I recall, there are those with lot more planes in attack run, lot more bombers in attack run, or more planes in attack flight, attack run, the attack planes. Fighter planes, whatever, those who fire rockets. The point is, the way Crash Zeppelin got treated by player base and how developers listened those feedback. They balanced Crash Zeppelin to the point only secondaries and torpedoes are usable. Dive bombers are good luck and then rockets are good luck situations. So Crash Zeppelin today, personally, I believe, is the chivalry and memorial when developers and community were communicating and they understood how powerful she was. And she got nerfed to the trash point she is today. She have only a good secondaries. Last game in this video, in tier 9, Soviet destroyer, some reason, decided to ambush me. Well, he did kill me after, with the torpedoes, my secondaries killed him. And my Zeppelin was not built for secondaries. No, it was built to reduce spotting range, and then planes only. There was no secondary build at all for Crash 7 because I know how those planes are, how bad those planes are. So I don't usually care about secondaries these days. Thankfully I have Zeppelin Black, so I can actually turn it into a large light cruiser with the capability to use planes. Thanks to those 8 turrets of twin 150mm guns and 6 105mm twin anti-aircraft guns that can also work as secondary battery. So what does Crash Zeppelin mean? She is, personally I believe, a pinnacle of balancing result. That's why in this background I'm playing Crash Zeppelin, because she is a pinnacle of well balanced between the planes and spotting range. Because if you take account, Crash Zeppelin, if not concealment consumables at all or skills, she has tier 10 spotting range on surface. That is the huge compared to the Corsair Crowfirst or other battleship or other carriers in tier 10. You can spot this carrier from the moon because how well balanced she is. If you want to actually hide her in an open ocean, you need to sacrifice plane returning speed and then preparation speed in order to hide her. She might be the most balanced ship in the game, with those questionable hit ratio with the rockets, and then questionable dive bombers, 2 of them in one flight. And same goes with the attack aircraft. Torpedo bombers, they are fine, they are slow, but they have long range. You can actually start practicing with those slow torpedoes to torpedo sniping from afar away from anti-aircraft range. And now we have this new mechanic, no flak, and those guns starts firing only when you are attacking with the planes. Well, now there are no flags, only machine guns. You can actually drop those torpedoes right next to enemy ship or far away to actually save your torpedo planes because they have long range. But when it comes to the German tech line torpedo bombers, they have short range, they are fast, but there's only 3 of them. If you take that into account of other factions that has aircraft carriers, others use entire flight. The Soviets have stupid squadrons like the more planes you have in attack run, that's more accounted to the maximum damage you can actually do with the Nakhimov and other that hide their aircraft carriers. The point is, after Crash Zeppelin, there has been stronger carriers. Bayern actually might be anti-airplane carrier. There is a meme in the internet where you can actually find Bayern to actually shoot down enemy planes. But Roosevelt aircraft carrier, something like tier 10-1, was a nightmare to deal with. Steel ship, sure, but in right hand, it is a destructive weapon if you know how to play with that carrier. And also now we have super carriers, so we are kind of fucked. And the other bombers from the other factions that has like 5 planes that can actually drop, well, maybe 10 bombs. I don't recall, but I have picture memory where Indomitable, or what was it, that British carrier just flying over your ship, and then you see probably 15 bombs dropping all right over you and setting you on fire. But that is an example, like the balancing comparison to Craft Zeppelin. If you want to use Craft Zeppelin in the future, 25 CV rework mechanics, I'm sure that with those 2 attack aircraft getting shot down easily, and then dive bombers, only 2 of them, they are getting deleted before they can even drop bombs. Yes, we are still tier 8 ship, but matchmaking tends to throw you as an aircraft carrier player into tier 10 ships. And there is tier 10 AA guns evolved. Yes, those guns are designed, I hope, balanced against tier 10 planes, if that can actually do anything. But tier 8 into tier 10, there is a huge problems awaiting with the Craft Zeppelin. This could be a new debuff for Craft Zeppelin, because other carriers after Craft Zeppelin was released are strong and powerful. So I'm pretty sure it's meant to affect those ships, but for Craft Zeppelin, she is not even worth your penny. Craft Zeppelin might be a memorial of those times when community and developers were actually communicating and balancing the carriers. And the incompetence is now at display currently today in World of Warships. In April today when I made this video. The incompetence is fully displayed in April 25, and how little they understand what the community means and where the developers are going wrong. You can keep all the flag, improve AA, but just remove planes' ability to spot enemy ships. That's all you needed to do. But you went so far to actually change small stuff and skills. That is actually impressive incompetence to do something more useless. But as I said, Crash Zeppelin is a great memorial of when community and developers were actually communicating each other, and she is a pinnacle of balancing. Her planes with low HP, they are fast, but only 2 bombs, 2 attack aircraft, 3 torpedoes. Yes, questionable accuracy with the rockets, questionable hit rate in the bombers. Well, if you're lucky enough with RNG's side, but torpedoes, slow and long range. But still, she is most balanced carrier today. What is my opinion about this CV rework? We need more testing. We need to test more and more and more. And give feedback that is explained in details what is wrong with this testing round number 20. We need to test more and more and more. I don't care does it take a year or how much money you waste. It only matters that community finally have planes that can no longer spot. That's all. But this was me ranting because I wanted to open up in this situation. In April, World of Warships is in 25. But I'm doing my best to also participate in testing these new aircraft mechanics and anti-air mechanics, and I recommend you do the same. But I also recommend that you start to practicing how the aircraft carriers work in co-ops and operations, because those are the best ways to practice with the carriers like I did with Zeppelin. That's why I'm actually did some decent well when time and place is correct in random fights. But I have to say now we are now coming to an end. Keep testing, keep practicing, continue the cycle, and learn more about this carrier mechanics if you play World of Warships. Practice, learn, practice, learn, practice, learn from mistakes and improve. And then you have the answers how carriers work. I want to apologize for me opening up, but this is how I felt when I made this record, and I wanted to open up more about this issue. But we need to be more logical and testing more. If you go with the gun blazings and flaming torches to developers and saying this is trash, there are 1% of that team that listens, but 99% won't. You need to be logical to explain what went wrong with this testing. It doesn't matter how much you hate it. It only matters you can explain yourself. Now we are coming to an end this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry about my rambling, but I wanted to open up in this issue. My name is LuckyMiss205. Thank you so much for watching. Stay strong, take care of yourself, and see.
Torpedos voraus! Feueralarm! Torpedos direkt voraus! Wir haben einen gegnerischen Zerstörer versenkt!